I know you just want your Hazel back, but let's be real at this point, Emily. We're looking for a corpse. We're looking for a dead body at this point. Come on, let's be real. Yes, like, what height is your little Hazel, so we know what size casket to get her. That's actually useful information. Why am I being so mean to Emily? Why am I doing this to her? Emily's eyes go wide. Hi guys, I just want to take a second to thank all my patrons here who have donated to me. No matter how much they've donated to me, it really means a lot to me. And if you guys want, you can check out my Patreon and help support me continue to make yaoi videos. Thanks guys. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Chess of Blades. In the last episode, Arden and Rivian were investigating together, and for some reason they went back to their room together, Rivian's room. I don't remember why, but something might happen here. I wonder how long it takes before sex happens in this game. I'm hoping not too much longer. When we're inside, I close and lock the door, but I hesitate. Someone could probably still hear us from the crack underneath. I motioned to Arden to follow me out into the balcony where the rain stopped outside, but left the stone floor stained dark with moisture. I'm sure no one will hear us outside. You know, outside where anyone could just be below us, below the balcony, anywhere outside. You know, it's not like they can hear us there. It's probably not better to stay in my room where, you know, it's difficult to hear people talking, whatever. Once we're out of earshot of anyone behind the door and within earshot of anyone outside, I make sure Franz isn't lurking on the opposite side of the balcony. I turn to Arden with a deep breath.
Celeste, what if she or her father orchestrated the kidnapping?
Arden's eyes widen at my statement, but he doesn't look that shocked. In fact, he seems more reluctant than anything, as if he was mulling over the same idea, but was too uncertain to actually voice it.
Celeste was there right as Emily rushed in, but that doesn't mean she or her father didn't have someone else doing the dirty work. Not to mention how quick Celeste was to go over to her. That seems a little odd, don't you think?
You believe she's part of the cult? That she wants to undermine His Majesty's rule?
Well, it's not like I have any concrete evidence or anything, but she's definitely involved somehow. I suspected it before, but knowing she's an ambassador's daughter confirms it.
And the last pink-haired bitch I met back in Camp Buddy turned out to be a real deviant, so I wouldn't be surprised if Celeste was the same.
If father were here, he'd say something trite but truthful like, "Rather than judging your opponent's movements, study what they do before they strike."
Before and after Hazel's kidnapping, there was the dinner and the announcement, where everyone was gathered. Celeste and her father had a perfect alibi, didn't they?
And everyone saw and heard about the kidnapping, so there was no way for the king to hush it up. It makes him look incompetent and the ambassador look innocent.
Arden and I stare at each other for a few moments, trying to connect the pieces in our heads. He blinks first, casting his gaze to one side thoughtfully, a hesitant expression in his eyes.
If it's really true, then maybe they're trying to turn the other ambassadors against the king. And if that's the case, I doubt they'll stop at just a kidnapping. Don't you, Riv?
Arden suddenly looks at me with a particularly concerned gaze, and I can sense his bristling, protective shift of stance.
Are you saying they'd want to kill me? Don't make such a scary face, Arden. I thought we already went through all this.
To my surprise, his brow furrows deeply, and his cheeks take on a faint pink hue.
But what if they do something worse? What if she blackmails you into marrying her?
Looking completely serious, Arden bites his lower lip, watching me keenly. He's a bit thick sometimes, but he's not that silly. I'm not exactly sure what is the right choice here for him. I feel like teasing him will make us get closer, I think. A faint faint smirk curls on my lips, and I drape an arm over Arden's shoulder and lean in towards him.
You're saying me getting married to someone would be worse than my death? That's a bit selfish, don't you think?
Riv.
His voice shakes a little at the proximity between us, and my cheek almost brushes his. A faint feeling of nostalgia burns my senses. In the old days, I was all over him like this, wasn't I? So were they really fucking back in the old days? What happened? I think they must have been, because why else would they be getting that close to each other back then?
I know we used to be so close, but I really thought you'd forgotten about me. After all, 4 years is a long time. What would you do if I told you I had a fiancé?
His eyes blink, staring at me with clear anxiety. He's sizing me up to see if I'm lying, but clearly panicking. Oh, Arden.
Would you be angry? Would you hit me? Would you hit them? Would you just turn and walk out like you did last night? Or would you congratulate me? Like a friend?
I know I'm being cruel. I didn't believe it at first, but it's becoming pretty clear that...
I'd attend your wedding, and I'd be happy for you.
His voice is clearly strained. I don't think he's even putting any effort into it.
Liar. After all, it'd mean I wouldn't be able to give you attention anymore, wouldn't it? I'd be all caught up in...
Suddenly, I find my words cut off. And Arden is... He used the arm I had around his shoulder to pull me in closer, and before I could even resist, smashed our lips together. It's not a long kiss, and he quickly breaks it, but it leaves me momentarily stunned. In that moment of weakness, Arden curls his arms firmly around me, tightly enough that it's obvious that he's not messing around. Oh, look at them. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, I've waited so long for this.
Riv, you still don't trust me, do you?
What are you...
Stammering, I do my best to squirm away from him, but he just squeezes harder. Our faces are close together, and I can feel his breath tickling my skin.
Maybe you can read me like a book, but it goes both ways. I can tell you still think I'm a joke.
It's hard to believe this serious, possessive gaze staring me down at me as Arden's. I knew something was up with him, but never in a million years did I think he'd act on it.
Even after all my training, after I worked my way into the Royal Guard, you still think I'm just your clueless childhood friend. But I'm different now, Riv. I learned a lot about what was important to me and what wasn't, and I became stronger.
Arden's arms tighten around me even more. For some stupid reason, my pulse feels completely out of control. His words hit the mark a lot closer than I thought.
How can I prove it to you? Should I enter the brawling tournaments and win something for you?
The image of Arden fighting that behemoth of a man we met earlier suddenly enters my mind.
No, that's definitely 100% not necessary.
You know, if I saw you get totally emasculated by that man, I'd probably be less attracted to you, so I don't think it's a good idea.
Then what do I have to do? How can I make you look at me the same way you look at someone like Linnaeus? Like someone you respect?
Do I even respect Linnaeus? I feel like I'm just really annoyed by him and that we just fight a lot. We just get into a cat fight every time we see each other. Like Linnaeus? Well, I never thought about it, but I guess I do respect the Inquisitor for being an incredibly hard-nosed bastard, if nothing else. Well, I guess I do respect him.
You don't have to do anything, you fool. You're overthinking it anyways.
Clearly not buying it, Arden purses his lips at me doubtfully. My eyes flick down to his mouth. Gods, did he really just kiss me? I still can't believe it.
I promise you, Riv. I'll be there when you need me most. I'll find a way. If I can protect the king, I can protect you.
Maybe you should worry about protecting the king more than me, you know.
Growing more flustered under his deeply sincere, longing gaze, I push roughly against his chest. He lets go of me reluctantly, his fingertips not leaving my sides until the last moment.
If we have time to be having this discussion, we should be spending it on investigating, don't you think?
It doesn't take a genius to see that investigating is the last thing on Arden's mind. However, he nods a little stiffly at my words, some of his mild-manneredness returning.
Well, maybe we should split up our efforts until the evening. How about you go look into Celeste's background? I'll flip through this book Linnaeus gave me and see if I can't find any clues.
I steer Arden back inside, closing the balcony door behind us and gently nudging him forward towards the room's exit.
Will it be too obvious if I ask around? Once you realize we're onto them?
Be less obvious then. Don't directly ask. Just say you're interested in that you have a cousin interested in her or something, you know.
At the door, Arden turns back to face me, placing a hand on the frame so that I can't shovel him outside.
I meant it, you know, Riv.
Hmm?
He stares at me again, a particularly bright glimmer in his eyes. This is definitely a side of him I don't know well. When did he get so bold?
About entering the tournament.
I said no! You're not fighting that rhinoceros of a man under any circumstances. Get the idea out of your damn head.
I kick Arden's shins until he finally goes out into the hall, wincing at my assault. Without allowing him any time to throw anything else at me, I quickly shut the door and lean heavily back against it. I really can't believe it. How have things changed so much? I should have been able to push him away and give him a solid punch for doing that without asking. But for some reason, I reacted as if things were the way they were before he left 4 years ago.
Stupid blasted.
Yeah, they were totally fucking 4 years ago. Growling under my breath, I sink down in the chair beside the fireplace. Linnaeus' book lies next to me, still in the same place I tossed it when we entered the room earlier. That's right, I need to figure out more about this damned cult, not worry about Arden. But really, has anyone looked at me like that before? It's flattering, I have to admit. I suppose I know what a smoldering gaze means now.
What a pitiful specimen of a man I am.
Wow, that pillow blends into the chair. It looks so weird. Is that even a pillow? Is that part of the chair? I don't know why I'm just focusing in on this so much, but look at how it just blends into the chair. That's so weird. I pick up the book and reopen it to the section about the disciples of Ignatius, dutifully forcing myself back to a more coherent state of mind. As I sink back into the chair and bury myself into the lines of text, I find myself looking for something without even realizing it. Something to explain why Celeste would be innocent. It doesn't make any sense, I know, but for some reason there's an element here that doesn't sit right with me the more I dwell on this case. I can't put my finger on what the missing link is, or what I'm unthinkfully glossing over. The dreary afternoon wears on as I keep combing over the pages, searching through the cult's history and previous kidnappings, looking for anything that remotely rings a bell. But there doesn't seem to be a clue of any sort that links Hazel in this mess, other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time. As I scribble down a few more notes and page numbers that might eventually be useful, my eyes grow heavy. Arden. I wonder if he found anything. That silly oaf. Wanting to prove himself so badly. Cute. Stupid. Stupid Arden.
Sir Rivian?
That voice!
Sir Rivian, are you in there?
Yes, coming.
Bolting out of the chair I fell asleep in, I stumble over to the door. When I pull it open, Emily stands there before me, blinking a little at what has to be my disheveled state.
Did I interrupt you in the middle of something, sir? I can leave if...
No, not at all. Do come in.
Still only half awake, I clumsily beckon for Emily to come inside. She hesitantly glances over for a moment, her eyes soon flicking back to me.
I was instructed by Sir Arden to come speak with you about Miss Celeste.
Is it appropriate in this age to just invite these female maids into my room? Maybe it is, because apparently being gay is totally cool. It's totally cool wherever this is, wherever this takes place. So he told her to come to me, huh? I can't believe he got past his jealousy enough to send a woman to my room.
It is true. I thought it rather curious that she was so eager to help me. Ladies of her breeding rarely stoop to dealing with servants.
What about men of my breeding? I'm a noble too, you know. Don't look down on me. Despite her words, Emily doesn't sound particularly accusing, but instead a little sad.
She also whispered something to me before you came over, sir.
And what might that be?
She said, I know who the culprits are. Leave it to me. I didn't know what to think of it, but if it's as you say and she's truly hiding something...
Emily bites her lip, turning her head to one side hesitantly.
I just want my Hazel back, but I don't know if I can believe that Miss Celeste is involved like this.
I know you just want your Hazel back, but let's be real at this point, Emily. We're looking for a corpse. This is a... We're looking for a dead body at this point. Come on, let's be real. If only we just had a little bit more to go off of.
Emily, is there anything else you can tell me? About Celeste or the kidnapper or about Hazel?
Yes, like what height is your little Hazel, so we know what size casket to get her. That's actually useful information. Why am I being so mean to Emily? Why am I doing this to her? For a brief moment, Emily's eyes go wide. Apparently she had no idea that this was just a body search at this point. There's an undeniably tense, guarded strain in her expression. She looks like she might hit me. But she quickly hides it, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, shaking her head with a dubious frown.
I have already told all I can. I'm sorry, sir. I never meant for any of this to happen.
Her voice quivers ever so slightly, and I glimpse dark circles under her eyes as she raises her head to look at me. This poor woman is definitely hiding something. The fact that she won't tell me, even for Hazel's sake, means it must be very serious indeed. Sighing quietly, I start to move back to the door when Emily suddenly perks up.
Oh, but there is one thing. I heard that you were looking for a silver key earlier.
Yes, I was... Wait, do you know what the key was for?
Emily purses her lips together thoughtfully, tracing a finger along her cheek.
I'm afraid I've only been in this castle since His Majesty started preparing it for his guests about a month ago. I don't know of any missing key, unfortunately. However, I can tell you that all the keys to the rooms here are made of brass. A silver key. That must be for something outside the castle, or a hidden passage we weren't told about.
Is that so?
As I murmur under my breath, I feel my heart suddenly start to beat faster. That key, it has to lead wherever Hazel's being kept. There's no possibility this is a coincidence any longer.
Emily, do you know where Arden is? I need to see him.
Yes, I just left him before I came here. He said he was going out into the garden to clear his head.
I hurry over to the door, smoothing my hair back with one hand, straightening my jacket.
Many thanks. Have a good evening now.
Well, that was probably not the best way to leave a woman worried sick about her kidnapped daughter. Despite being guiltily aware of this, I quickly jog down the hallway and to the stairs, darting down them two at a time. The main hall is dark, and for the first time I realize how late it must be. Damn it, the last thing I wanted to do was skip dinner.
No time to worry about that.
I scold my selfish inner monologue and run across the huge hall, heading towards the exit to the garden. If Arden and I can find this passage or ask someone who might know, we could have Hazel back by tonight. Out in the garden, I delve into the hedge maze, wandering around while impatiently searching for the familiar head of red hair.
Arden! Arden, where are you?
Not hearing a reply, I leave the maze and wander through the throngs of tall rose bushes instead.
Arden! Did he leave already?
How did he, what was that? Arden! That's literally what he just said. What is he doing?
Riv, over here!
To my surprise, a loud whisper comes from nearby. I hurriedly glance around and finally spot Arden, crouching by the edge of the path.
What on earth are you doing down there, Arden? This is no time to be playing with ants.
When I draw close, he suddenly grabs my arm and pulls me down beside him.
I was chasing someone, and then they disappeared.
His urgent whisper makes me freeze. Chasing someone? What if...
A figure in dark clothes and a long cloak?
Arden's eyes widen at my description, but he anxiously nods.
How'd you know? Did you... Wait, it's not the same.
He seems to quickly grasp the meaning of my words, and I offer a grim nod.
There's a chance he might even be our kidnapper. Cheeky bastard.
I can hear Arden breathing heavily beside me. He must have been running when I called out to him. His breath tickles against my cheek when he tilts his head towards me.
Stop that.
Abruptly, Arden grabs my shoulders and pulls me against him, and I can feel something in his pants, his erection, I'm sure. Caught off guard, I topple into his arms, grunting in surprise. A split second later... In that moment, something suddenly cuts a breeze through the space between us. Something that sliced the bush behind me, sharp enough to tear the leaves. I turn to see the cloaked figure standing down the path, arm extended in a throwing motion.
You absolute shit stain! You missed again!
What is Arden even... I mean, what is Rivian even saying here? You absolute shit stain! You missed again! I wished you'd hit me! I wish you'd just put me out of my misery and ended this pitiful existence of mine! He sounds somewhat disappointed. Gritting my teeth, I start to pull Arden up to run after him when... To my shock, Arden's already dashing forward at top speed. The figure can't even bolt before Arden reaches him, swiping out with a suddenly unsheathed blade. The cloaked figure pulls out his rapier from his waist, just in time to parry Arden's swing.
Arden, what do you think you're doing?
My voice catches in my throat when I glimpse the expression on Arden's face. His eyes were burning with a cold vengeance I've never seen before. A shiver runs down my spine reflexively, and I clutch the grass beneath my feet with trembling fingers. The two figures keep swiping and parrying at an incredible pace, both on complete offense.
Fast.
The shadowed attacker's voice comes out in a grunt as he gains a low swing to Arden's hip. But before it even comes close, Arden catches it with his own blade, shoving the assassin away. Oh wow, guys. Things just got tense. But look at Arden. He's looking pretty good right now. Ooh, that look in his eyes. That determination. Ooh. But I think I'm going to end this episode here, guys. Sorry if it was a little short. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.